No additional comments from the board?
No.
Any comments from members of the board, the audience? Excuse me.
Honorable Chairman, board members, I also have had the privilege of coming to know Mr. Gaines and have great admiration and respect for him. I remember the first time I ever sat across from him at a table. I left the meeting in awe, and I think I told him that I'd never met a more eloquent and just intelligent executive. It was an honor to meet him and to work with him. And so it's the case now that I'm just thinking it's real important that we see some accurate numbers. The big decision that's before us is held within the halls of these walls, and we can't really get at them. We're showing that 100% of the costs have been shifted over onto one of our divisions, the Click Network, and that causes rates to be higher than they necessarily might otherwise be. When city councils presented losses, and maybe they're not actually real. That's not actually the way the city was doing the numbers. I've passed out to you some income statements that show you what the real numbers are. These came to me from within the accounting departments. That's how they track them, 75-25. And those are the true numbers. That would have been helpful for council to see those, or for the board to see those in making this decision. So I'm thinking that maybe just to delay this vote a little bit. Sure, we're going to approve him. We want him. We just want to help him, encourage him to bring those numbers forward. I don't know how else we do it. Now we've rounded down to 94%. Okay. We found out yesterday it still takes 26 people to run this. 26 people divided by the 92 people here running this plant. I'm not sure, the math's pretty close to that. That's 28%. And that doesn't cover the ongoing maintenance that would have to be there anyway. The Click pays 75% of the maintenance and the improvements that become part of the depreciation and amortization expense that having Click's profitable commercial services helps offset. It's just those 28 employees plus those costs should be thought about. So I would encourage maybe delaying it. I mean, we love Bill and we need him on our side is what I'm trying to say. I can't wait until that day when he turns his attention and becomes our biggest cheerleader. I'm so hopeful for that because we could double the number of customers with talents like Bill in our corner. And I hope that day comes. And if you could somehow encourage him, perhaps it's not necessary to delay this vote, and maybe there's other ways to get those numbers out before the city council and before yourselves to make the important decisions based on real numbers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. As far as we're concerned, Mr. Gaines is trustworthy. He provides us with the information we need to make good decisions.
So, with that, all those in favor of the reconfirmation of William A. Gaines, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? This motion is approved.
And so we came up with, that was our internal analysis, we came up with a new finding that the allocations should be closer to 96% for Click and 4% for the electric side at that time. So a big change from 75-25 to 96-4, again, based on our analysis of the actual usage of the staff and so forth in each of the cost centers. Those allocations have been used, so we use them as part of our strategic planning and all of the financial planning and so forth that has gone on, and evaluation of the different proposals that have been discussed. But we have not taken the step until now of formally adopting for our financials, budgets and rates, adopting a new allocation model, in part because we knew we were going to also have to have that reviewed before we went forward with it. So moving forward to this year.
So can I just, I want
Sure.
to clarify because I want to make sure I understand that. So you're saying the budget we passed, the current biennium budget, is still under 75-25.
Right.
But the planning, when you're thinking about business plans or what do we do about the future, you're saying currently for planning purposes you're using 96-4.
So we have used it in the conjunction with, so for example, the slide that was presented to you, the 100% allocation model slide, that was because we have this analysis that shows that a lot more of the costs, closer to 100% than 75% of the cost, really belongs to Click. And so in terms of understanding, does Click have enough revenue to cover its costs? What are all the costs we've looked at? We've been using that for planning purposes and so forth.
Okay. So you're using it, but you're rounding up.
Well,
I think that's the biggest, as far as the elephant in the room, that's the thing that I get the most feedback from citizens on, is the allocation. They feel
Right.
like, you know, maybe Click isn't really losing as much money, why don't we
Right.
change the allocation? I mean, that's really what the big concern
It is, and that's why we've made it a big feature of this
I know,
presentation today,
I
because
know.
we need to clear that up. There's
Yeah.
a lot of misinformation about that out there that has been unhelpful. So we're trying to clear that up now.
Well, so I guess for me to understand the consequences of rounding up, I mean, what is a percentage?
I'm not sure what you mean by rounding up.
Well, you go from 96 to 100.
Oh, well, that's a small, I mean, we're gonna fix that going
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, it doesn't, so
It doesn't make it.
the reality is, whether you're using 90-10 allocation, 95-5 allocation, 100-0 allocation, the reality is the outcome is the same. We're having a lot of discussion about, moving relatively small dollars around, which we'll get to in a few moments.
So I guess I have to beg to differ that rounding up is not significant. I mean, 4%, if my math is right, I think it can of 33.5 million is 1.3 million.
Yeah.
And we haven't included a revenue offset.
So we're gonna fix it going forward.
And that's going to be important because that lends itself to credibility
Exactly.
of
That's
what
why-
we're talking
that's
about.
why we're here.
Is there a member of the audience that wish to give comments? And if you do, I'd ask that those comments be limited to 3 minutes.
So I'm Mitchell Shook, the CEO and founder of Advanced Stream, one of the ISPs on the Click network. And I wanted to give the board an update on what's become known as Plan B, something that started in July of 2012. We were tasked with making Click profitable. We were told in a series of meetings that went from January to June of 2012 that we needed to figure out how to make Click profitable. We sat down until I call it the 100 meetings. We developed a very close relationship with the staff of Click, talented bunch of people who are doing a great job managing the city's network. And using their numbers and their accountants, we came up with the conclusion that we needed to add 6,000 customers. That would do the trick. And so we got busy. And we're ahead of schedule. We've added over 4,500 customers. We're very proud of that. And so I'm not so sure that it's time to maybe give up on things yet completely. We want to maybe redouble our efforts. I'm finding out now there's some rules that have changed with the multi-dwelling units. These are the apartment buildings. And I was in a study session today, and I think a wrong answer was given, but the FCC has changed the rules that allows us to come in and use that home run wiring, which is existing Comcast cable. If the landlord makes, or the property owner makes an election to notify Comcast that he would like to have an alternative service in there, then they can forfeit their right to that plant or have to take it out, but they have to let us have access to it. The FCC's been clear on that now. So that opens a huge market for us. I was surprised by some of the results of the survey that we learned about today, that so many people didn't know about us. I think there's a huge untapped market available to us, and that we can accelerate the growth. The network, having the network, it can be a benefit to the ratepayers, a way to give them a dividend in a sense by having lower rates. And I think we could accomplish that again. Under the original accounting formula of 75-25, we finally were profitable in March. We made $30,000 at the bottom line, and I included that statement in your packages. So I just wanted to encourage you to maybe ask yourselves, what would it cost to run Click? I mean, to run the telecommunication plant. There's 2,000 miles of transmission and distribution wire out there, and the SCADA system, and all the reason it was built anyway was for the telecommunications network, what would it cost to run that network without Click? Click were gone. That might be a better way to look at approaching the numbers. So we've had the Moss Adams study that said it could be run with 6% of those costs, but could it really? Are people variable costs? You need to have those engineers and people in place to run that network. And perhaps if they look at it in that context, you might find that Click's serving its purpose, its intended purpose of offsetting the cost for having that telecommunication network that was needed anyway. Maybe a little allocation for a market value of iNet could help our top line. And so there are other ways to look at this thing, but the progress report I'm giving today is that Plan B is a success. We're ahead of schedule, and had it not been for shifting of these costs, then we would have achieved our goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your successful process and for the report. We appreciate that.